I'm Anne-Marie Kirk, and I'm with the Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. We are a nonprofit group based in Maunalua, Oahu, and our work goes Mauka to Makai, from Ka'iwi Mauka lands to Maunalua Bay to Havea Heiau and Pahua Heiau and Kamilanui Valley. On our show, we're always highlighting things that are happening within the Maunalua community, things that reflect our history, our culture, things that are happening now in the present. I'm very happy today to have two guests with me to talk about a new idea that's happening in Maunalua, which is Huli, the movement, a new group that's coming out in Maunalua talking about stewardship and taking care of our area. So I want to introduce you first to Austin Kino.
Hi, thanks for having us.
And Jesse Yonover.
Aloha, thank you. Okay,
big first question. What is Huli?
The name Huli kind of came from actually looking for a name. All things, Jesse and I decided that we wanted to start an environmental education company that kind of changed the way that we're used to seeing education and environmental stewardship done in the Bay from what we were used to. And so as we were looking through names in a Hawaiian dictionary online, vehevehe.org, after you type in something, what you're trying to say, to translate it, it says, instead of translate, it says a huli as a command. So I thought about that for a while, and normally we have like a connotation of flipping something on its side, but when I looked up the definition, it actually meant to take a new course, change your path, and change a way of understanding. So I said, that's kind of what our goal is with the whole program. So I kind of ran it by Jesse, and it stuck for a little bit, and we added the movement part just as a way we're trying to kind of start a movement, I guess, whether it's the younger generation or just our community, to kind of carve out a new path for what we're doing with stewardship.
So Jesse, what is that new path?
I would say the best way to explain it is like the current way that our community has been living in Maunalua, and such a sacred natural resource and special place for all of us. But I don't think we've respected and done our part in taking care of it. Over the past few decades, it's seen tremendous degradation. So the new path is one that we're trying to instill in, everyone, but especially the younger generations who are going to inherit that place. And that path is to be real mindful of our impact as humans and what we can do to ensure that these places are as healthy as they can possibly be and sustainable for not just our children, but our children's children. So,
now we look at Maunalua Bay. Austin, why Maunalua Bay? Why for you?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of growing up, born and raised in Wailupe Valley, or commonly known now as Aina Haina, and so Maunalua was where I first learned to love the ocean. And I've had an opportunity to have a lot of really good mentors that also grown up there and would share stories with me. Jesse and I are crew members with the Polynesian Voyaging Society and have the privilege to sail Hokulea, and we'll be sailing past the bay on the water and hear stories like, oh, you see all the houses on those ridges? Like, that was never there when I grew up. And I'm looking at this individual's telling me that, and it's not much older than my parents' age. And so to see, not only as someone who's grown up there, but to see how quickly it's all been changed, even though I haven't seen it the whole time. But now I kind of realized that Maunalua needed to be a place where and Jesse and I felt we had to start, because if you don't take care of your own backyard, you can't go around the island and try and fix any other kind of problems. You got to start with where your community is, and also where you have the connections to be able to get projects moving and on the ground.
Jesse, this is your backyard too.
Absolutely. I've been out in Maunalua Bay since I was in diapers. I think my mom and dad took me surfing, and just boating, fishing, diving, you name it. I was out there every week of my life since I was a little kid, and it's been such an amazing place to grow up, to call my backyard. And because of that, I think for both of us, we have such a strong connection because we've seen it. And even in our short time on this earth and out in that bay, we've seen changes. And then you talk to the older generations and you hear, hey, not too long ago, this place was totally different.
Right. It's funny because when you look at the bay, and I'm older than you, so I see the changes, but here's a question, and either one of you can answer. A community grows, a community develops. How do you create a balance between what's there and that development that's coming?
Right, I mean, you know, we're starting to become adults now. We understand Hawaii is a beautiful place, and a lot of people want to live here, especially with the convenience of where we live in Maunalua, its proximity to downtown Honolulu, and that there is so much of capacity for resources, and everyone wants to enjoy the ocean is kind of the one resource I think we're most concerned about, but everything else affects it. And so, you know, trying to focus on, for us, how we can start from a baseline of just creating an education program that's based in the ocean around that, and maybe start with fresh minds and young kids to, as opposed to trying to chase down things or problems that maybe we don't have as much control over, and as young people that, you know, we don't have a history and experience to be able to tackle those kind of issues. But we do try and tackle what we can control, which is being able to take students out into the bay, connect them with scientists and researchers, and as they're learning, we're also learning too, so that we're more educated as we decide to be residents and to hopefully grow, you know, and live in the bay for the future of our generations. Yeah.
So Jesse, when you talk about this movement, Huli the movement, and changing that thought pattern, it's not only science, but you're also bringing in culture and bringing those two together. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a blend of science, you know, traditional and indigenous wisdom with, you know, also just the collective consciousness of the community, and trying to blend all those things together to come up with the right path forward. And it's not an easy task by any means, but I think for us, we've tried to incorporate a lot of community members who have really had a lot of passion and heart for Maunalua Bay, and to try to help instill that in other people. So we try to incorporate them into the students and the lessons that we work with the students on, and get them thinking in a different way. And ideally for us, when we reach out to the students and get to work with them, bring them out into Maunalua, do our field days with them, we hope, you know, that they go back to their parents and are like, oh, this is what we learned, and then it's a easier way for them to receive the knowledge. So.
Okay, so we talk about Huli the movement, we talk about Maunalua Bay. We're very kind of specific where you're at. If we can take a look at one of the pictures that have come in to show the area that you folks are doing your work, which is right here. Can you talk to me about this, Jesse, what we're looking at?
Yeah, so this is a aerial image shot by Dr. Thomas Nordyke, by the way. Thank you for that picture. But it's a great shot of basically the Kuli'o'o Ahupua'a, and you can see Paiko Wildlife Sanctuary, which is one of the main areas that we work with, is that wetland over there. We pretty much stage the school groups when we bring them out at Kuli'o'o Beach Park, and then we walk around the water through the sandbar into the sanctuary, and we'll work in the sanctuary as well, along with Department of Forestry and Wildlife. So.
You know, when you see a picture like that, it's always a reminder we live in just a stunningly beautiful place.
Absolutely.
And all of us taking care of our backyards like you guys are doing here. I think we have another picture of you working with some of the students, if we can take a look at that. And Austin, maybe you could tell me about that.
Yeah, this was our first field day. These are students from the Malama Honua Charter School who are based in Waimanalo. And this was such a great image to actually see kids in the space and the concept come to life. And for us, it was really special. If you look at some of the faces in this crowd, it's Auntie Laura Thompson, who's been a huge help to us, and for her to see us as the next generation trying to take some initiative and try to do our part, I think hopefully makes her feel like she's done a good job at getting out there and being stewards, because if you don't have anyone to pass it on to and carry on the torch, kind of feel like nobody cares. And so
and here we see this right here.
Yeah, so this is a great shot of one of the instructors that we have taking the kids out to do water quality testing. So as you can see, the kids are having a pretty good time, you know. They love getting out of the classroom, getting their feet wet, getting to be outside in nature, and to do activities like this one where they go around and they test the water quality in different parts of the bay, so they can get an understanding about how the runoff from land is affecting the bay. And we try to keep it simple so they can understand it, but really have a hands-on learning experience to instill that message.
And I think we have another picture after this we can take a look at.
So this was a really cool activity. This was actually our Plankton Tow. This is a scaled activity we took from the worldwide voyage, the Maunalua voyage from Hiki on Aaliyah, where we take students on a double hull canoe and they tow small nets for plankton. And then I think we have a picture where they, after they collect their sample, they go to the desk where we have like these small kind of microscopes. They're actually called cell scopes that use iPhones and iPads. So right there, the students collect their sample in the bay, come back to the table and identify what it is they're looking at and understand how plankton gives us oxygen and fits into the role of the ecosystem, and kind of ties to the water quality lesson that if the water quality is bad and we're killing off our plankton, then that will affect us directly as humans who live right there next to that resource.
You know, when I was on your website, I was really impressed by your mission statement, and it was about not just creating stewardship, but exceptional stewards. Why exceptional stewards? What does that mean to you? Jesse?
I mean, I think status quo just isn't enough these days, you know? We really have to go above and beyond if we're gonna make a difference, and that's why exceptional stewardship is just wanting to get everyone raising the bar as high as they can and giving as much as they can, and in turn I think the world around us will reflect that, you know. So it's really just about putting in everything to what we're doing, and in this situation is the environmental ocean-based stewardship, but it's just the beginning really.
And you actually you just came back from Hokulea, right?
Jesse did. We both
Oh,
kind of
you
been
both
trading
did.
off. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does that work with Huli? I guess you both are Huliing to make Huli work. Is that is that what happens?
That's pretty much, a lot of the kind of inspiration for the project came from the catalyst, the worldwide voyage, Honua, and the schools were on board, the teachers involved, and what we noticed, again with our own backyard, is there wasn't a lot of really great classrooms that were set and staged outdoors and just opportunities for teachers to get their students outside. So we kind of started with them and said, how can we make it easier for you to get your students out into the field? What kind of requirements you need, insurances, and all those things? Can we give you a bus? And so we're able to work all that out so we can get the kids' ankles wet and make the science and the math come alive and just provide that help with the teachers. Now,
right here we see you working, or one of your people working with students. Can you tell me what's happening there?
Yeah, we had a chance, we work with the Department of Forestry and Wildlife in a partnership, so they bring plants from their nursery, and kids have the opportunity to not only remove invasives, which is kind of a labor intensive, but to each child at one point, or a group of children, get to put a plant into the ground themselves. I believe this was ahuava. This was like a native to this area that's what's going to help with erosion control. And so I still remember back when I had the chance to do it on the Big Island and put a koa plant into the ground, and the guy telling us, you know, once you get your hands dirty and you actually put some in the ground, you have a right the rest of your life in this place to stand up and say something and to be a part of this community because you did that. And that was so long ago for me, and I remember that to this day. So I'm hoping that these students, if they grow up and whether they choose to live in Maunalua Bay or not, still remember that, you know, I put my hand in the ground and I planted something and I gave this thing life, and it's my responsibility to protect it.
So what you guys are doing with Huli is actually you're making an investment in a future that could be 20 or 30 years from now with these students.
Absolutely.
And that's a huge responsibility, Jesse. What do you think when you're working with those young people?
You know, I think for me, I just think about, I went through these same public school systems that these kids went through, and I never got this opportunity. I mean, I got my own opportunities to experience Maunalua Bay, but never in a formal educational setting. So whether, you know, our program is fully built out or not, it's the important thing is that we're giving these kids that educational setting where they're coming through their school system to learn about the special natural resource Maunalua Bay that's in their own backyard. And so that off the bat makes me so stoked. And then to see the kids running around just having a blast and getting to learn about all these places, the names, the different things that are going on, it's extremely fulfilling, and I hope that they'll remember that and pass it along one day too.
Getting dirty is a good thing.
Yeah.
Getting dirty and taking care of the earth.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at kids that young, and I'm just thinking we all have triggers. What is it that gets us involved? I know what got me involved in community work years ago. What was a specific thing that triggered you, Austin? You said, I want to do more.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, the name for the specific program we have is called the Junior Konohiki program. And my first involvement in Maunalua Bay started in surveying fishermen. And so I'm from fishermen and trying to get back to like a community-based fishing management zone. And like I said, when you're working with a generation that you're not a part of, there's so many factors and there's so many things. And so that triggered me to have an interest and want to be able to know from a scientific level and from an experiential level what is really going on instead of just kind of speaking off hearsay of what I've heard. So by creating a program that was a junior konohiki, and we're starting at really elementary science and building our foundation of what is going on with the bay and what are the ecological problems and what do we need to do to resolve them. Hopefully that in turn made us better konohikis too as we grow up and maybe have families in this bay. And so that has kind of triggered me as the fishing side at first and being in the ocean, and then feeling that I needed to brush up on really to know my facts.
Perfect. Jesse, what was your trigger?
For me, I think it was when I came back from college. I looked at the bay and I just saw the trend that it was going on, and to me it didn't look like a good one. It didn't look like it was in a healing phase. It looked more like just on this downward slope, and I felt that I don't remember the specific quote that it is, but the one that's if you're not going to stand up and be that voice, then who will be? You know, who else can we depend on? So just this almost sense of responsibility in myself, like this place has given me so much, it's your turn to give back to it. And so I think here we are.
So in that sense of responsibility and giving back, how do people get involved with Huli? How do teachers get a hold of you and different community organizations?
Yeah, I think it's real easy, pretty much. All they have to do is check out our website, ŌleloNet.com. We have our email on there. They are more than welcome to email us at join@hulithemovement.com. And I think we also have a phone number up there. So yeah, we're always open, not just to teachers, but we really wanted to extend ourselves to the businesses in the community too. Not that we'd be able to bring them out for a field day necessarily, but just talk about, hey, how can you guys have a better impact and a better footprint in the community on the bay, not just the bay, but the whole Ahupua'a, and individuals, teachers. We're pretty much open to whoever's interested and wants to get involved and support what we have going on.
You know, because it's not just the bay, I want to talk about a healthy community.
Sure.
How does your work help to create a healthy community?
Yeah, I think, like Jesse said, our hope is that the kids go home and talk to their parents, and especially when we do our water quality lesson, we talk about these things. Well, why are the water coming out of our streams this dirty or not, whatever? And they're saying, well, it's probably attributed to things we have up in our homes, or everything we do Mauka affects Makai. And so we're hoping that piece clicks, and so it's conversations happening in the homes about what's being thrown out, what's going down in the streams, or just being more aware that everything ends up in the ocean. So in that sense, we're kind of controlling, hopefully, what the outcome is in the community by getting families involved. And we've had a lot of support from the chaperones, and even after students come to our program, follow up from parents, just saying, how can I come out and bring my other children that didn't have the opportunity to come out today? And that all makes us feel like we're kind of on the right track to doing something that the community members want.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Jesse, about a healthy community, a healthy bay?
Yeah, you know, it's tough because there's so many different visions out there for what a healthy community looks like, and also a healthy bay, and there's no simple solution, as I said earlier. I think for us, we just really want to do a good thing. We want to do a good thing with the students, and I think hopefully that it just has a domino effect in reaching out to the rest of the community and saying, hey, you know, we don't have all the answers, but we're trying to do something good, and if everybody kind of has that mentality, then I know we can accomplish great things out there and really help set that good, just overall relationship between community members.
I'm curious, as people are watching this show, they're going to see the two of you, and there might be two guys or two girls in another community that are inspired to do what you're doing. What are the challenges that you had in starting Huli? You guys are new, but just to create it, what do people need to know?
I think definitely, people always want to know what your background is. And so we were trying to be very transparent about bringing in partnerships and starting people that have credible. The Department of Forestry, we're going to our Kahikai, our plankton programs from the University of Hawaii. Our water quality is like a certified education program. So we're not just kind of going out there and say, hey, let's just have your kids for a field day. We're trying to be very smart about the partnerships we bring in and their credibility, and then that helps us build up and just make sure that it's a safe environment. We have all of our things in a row as far as insurances and stuff. And we just kind of saw, well, what work do we need to do? It's kind of the run around, answering phone calls, doing emails, scheduling buses, so that everyone that already has that know-how can be in the right place at the right time. So that's kind of what we had to do.
Yeah, there's all types of logistical things that you never even think about, even just structuring our business, you know, how we're going to do that. But I guess it's part of the learning process. Again, I don't have any answers out there right off the top of my head to give people, but if they ever want to reach out and are interested, we're totally happy to help, because you know, we'd love to see this be a model for other communities to take up and start trying to do, especially for younger people to get involved. So
definitely, I think that it will be inspiring to look at and say, how can I do this in the community that I live in?
Right.
And then how are you going to gauge your success?
That's a good one. I think we'd like to gauge our success by the amount of schools that continue to reach out to us and want to come out, and that we can expand from this one location at Pico, that hopefully we can take on projects Mauka, we can kind of start to partner with the restoration of our local fish ponds, I can't think of the fish pond organization at the moment.
Maunalua Fish Pond Heritage Center.
Fish Pond Heritage Center, right. So to try and expand now out. So I think gauging our success by the amount of people interested, and then the kind of hopefully having more field sites to take kids into.
Now, how many events do you have a year that you go out into the Pico area?
We've only done 4 events so far.
Oh, that's a lot,
2016,
though.
yeah. So we're
you
know, we're still in our first year of our creating our organization, and we're super thankful to have the support from the Ōlelo Foundation, who gave us our first grant ever, which totally helped get us off the ground and get moving, and that was the biggest Kickstarter we could have possibly had. And I just wanted to throw in there too that in my eyes, in terms of success, to answer your earlier question, every single student who comes out there is a success in my eyes. Someone who otherwise wouldn't have come out. So to me, there's that simple metric of, you know, if that student's coming out and he gets to experience Maunalua Bay in an educational setting through our program, then that's a success.
And then also that success with the different government agencies you're working with the students, but also that community right there in Kulia'o. What is your relationship with that community there?
Yeah, we are really fortunate that when we had this idea, we kind of, in the best fashion, all the Kimo Franklin helped get all the community partners that have some association with Pico, and we went to and had a dinner at Auntie Laura's house and kind of talked straight on her balcony, which so many amazing things have been figured out. And so for me, that felt like it was the right foot, because anyone who was supposed to be there was there, and then we kind of said, who's not here that we should be informing that this is our plan to do it. So we started on a community level, and so far it's been nothing from support from Kulia'o, and that's why we also like to be respectful of that and their wishes with how often we do our deliveries. We don't wish to be out there every single day and have school buses constantly pulling out to their houses. Right now we've been about a once a month delivery in that Pico, and if we expand that, hopefully, like I said, we can use other locations. So just to be respectful that it is a shared community resources that other people might want to do education programs with or cleanups with, that we're not the sole people that are offering these kind of programs in Pico Sanctuary.
Well, what I appreciate about what you guys are doing is when you do community work, you're always like, who's going to be behind me that's going to follow up? You know, we all kind of go through this, and you're actually getting them at the very young age. Now, what's the youngest class that you've had there?
We've had all the way to kindergartners. That
my goodness, wow.
Lama Maunalua Charter School went kindergarten to, I believe, 4th grade. So that was a big spectrum. And then
Lama Honua.
Lama Learning
Center. And so we've also, we're trying to serve every sector. So we've done a middle school, intermediate, and we're trying to get to a high school hopefully soon. So we can really see. And that's probably the most difficult for us is to get the excitement going, but that's a challenge, is using creativity to make, you know, especially the high school student really feel why these things are special and important and tie them to the community.
Because you have to sustain that stewardship, because when they're younger, it's great. When they get kind of middle school, sometimes they kind of get different distractions in their life. And it's high school and there's different distractions. So that is a huge challenge to get those intermediate and high school students involved.
Yeah. But truthfully, they're some of the most important ones, because they are totally capable of doing so much, and I think we've seen that in all kinds of situations. But yeah, so
and the older ones too really saw the link, between towing for plankton, doing a water quality, and then doing kind of part to give back to the sanctuary that has a role in the ecosystem. I saw it really kind of click in them why those 3 rotations were so specific to them and what they could take away from it. And so that was really special. It's fun to have the little kids out there and just experiencing it and the joy in that, but to see the takeaway and have a conversation now with someone who is maybe a middle school student was really, really special.
And I think our goal ultimately would be to service at least 1 grade level from each one of the public schools.
Oh,
I think there's
great.
9 within the Maunalua region.
That's
so
fantastic.
that at every stage, every school is going to get an opportunity to come out and go through the Maunalua Junior Konohiki program.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get that picture up again, that first picture up of Paiko, because I think it's such a special spot where you're at, because
Absolutely.
you can go far out into the ocean and you're not
Right.
in deep water if we take a look at the picture. We just have about a minute and a half left. Just some last thoughts. I'll start with you, Jesse, on just looking at that picture, and anything to say or anything you want to share? Or?
Yeah, this is such a beautiful picture because it shows you from the top of the ridges all the way out to the reefs, and it's such vibrant, ecosystem. And really at the end of the day, we just hope that we're helping encourage people to really protect those places so that they can stay the way they are and get better into the future. I think that's really ultimately why we do what we do, and we hope that everybody who we get to interact with in our community gets that message.
Austin, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, when I see this picture, to be honest, the first time Jesse took me out there, I didn't know that spot was even there. This is a really cool thing we got to finish on. We actually got to one of the original stories of this place is where Nainoa Thompson's a navigator, learned from Mao about the star compass, and he would go here to study stars. So we thought it was only appropriate when we had his charter school out to build a star compass and go ahead and teach them star names in the same place that Nainoa, who kind of helped invent this compass, learned himself, because there's so many good stories about this place, so to connect it with the students was really, really special that day.
Well, thank you. We ended with two really great pictures. A place that you're taking care of and malaming and making sure to teach others about it, and then also the future of the kids looking to the stars but actually learning it right in Maunalua Bay.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us on Maunalua Past, Present, and Future. Please check out Huli the Movement website. And thank you, Jesse Yonover and Austin Kino, and we'll see you next time. Aloha.
Mahalo.